You're on.
All right, hello everyone. It is 8 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started here. Tonight we'll be covering the Bocce preseason webinar. On the webinar tonight, we have myself, the sports director for Bocce, also be helping out a little with track at summer games. Kendall, who was in my position as of last year, she'll be in the games management team. And Rennie, who might be joining us later, will be on the sports management team.
Yeah, Rennie's signing on right now. I can see
Perfect.
Him with his camera.
So as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded. We ask that you hold your questions till the end just so we can make sure that we get through all this information. There is a lot in the preseason webinar, getting everybody in the flow of what the sport will look like. So stick with us and we'll get to your questions at the end. Thank you.
And hi, folks.
And if you do, sorry, Mike, and if you do have questions, typically if you hover over the slides, you'll look down to see the chat box. That's where you can enter your question, and we'll be monitoring that throughout the webinar. Back to you, Mike.
Thank you. Hi, this is Mike Sarnowski. I'm the VP of Sports for Special Olympics Maryland. Just want to start off with saying first, thank you everybody for joining us, but also we all know that we're going through a really challenging time right now with COVID-19 and all the various recommendations and such that are going through. And as of right now, Special Olympics Maryland has suspended all athlete training and competition through the end of March. We are hopeful that we will be able to start training and competition some point in the near future. So we are proceeding on the basis that that will happen. And so therefore we're having tonight's webinar. Stuff is changing on a daily, sometimes an hourly basis. You know, we're keeping abreast of it. We're meeting with our area leaders this coming Saturday, the 21st, at which time we're going to explore a number of different options and issues and such. You know, if the situation changes in terms of the ability to do competition or do practices or training sessions, we certainly will notify area leaders, coaches, et cetera, athletes, as soon as it's practical, and we really do appreciate your patience and understanding in that regard. So again, it's challenging all around, and we appreciate that. And Ryan, I think this is you. And Rennie, you are unmuted, by the way. Okay?
Rennie, thanks for joining us, by the way. As a reminder that we have in each of our webinars, no athlete or volunteer may participate in any manner in a Special Olympics Maryland program without a valid and current medical form or volunteer application/certification. There is no exceptions to this. As a coach, we ask that you always have those medicals with you in case the situation arises. It's quick access to that so we can take care of that athlete to the best of our ability. With the registration deadlines, the training registration deadline is coming up. That'll be April 23rd. That's when the rosters end in the GMS of all the athletes, unified partners, and coaches. The last date for missing forms to be submitted to the headquarters there will be May 4th. With that, every athlete must have a completed medical form valid through the end of summer games, which will be 6/7 on file. Every coach and partner and volunteer must have a complete volunteer application and protected behavior certification, again, through the end of summer games. The competition registration deadline will be 5/18. With that, the delegation members, team rosters, and their events must be entered into GMS. Any athlete or unified partner without an event will be deleted from summer games. We ask that you take care of that on your own. I think in many counties, you guys are starting to get comfortable with using GMS. If there is an emergency and you need any assistance with that, I am more than happy to help you, but please try to figure that out. But if not, I can help you.
Yeah, and there should be a GMS person who's handling that for your county. Please check with them first. And one other note, actually I forgot to mention this with the athletics. Please don't let the last date for missing forms to be submitted confuse you. That in no way, shape, or form implies that an athlete or a volunteer can be participating without a valid medical. That is simply the opportunity to get, if someone brings in their renewed form to practice or whatever, that simply is allowing time to get that to us. But do not let that confuse you and make you think that an athlete can participate without a medical.
Thanks,
I think, Mike, if you also want to address if there is a delay in summer games or whatever, that some of these dates we will have
Sure.
some flexibility there.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, this is lots of things are up in the air. We're proceeding as if we are on target. We would certainly, and I hope folks find us reasonable in most cases, even if they disagree with us at times. But yeah, we will certainly look at making adjustments based on whatever reality happens to be with these sports. Okay, and so again, this is Mike again. I'll take this little section here and try to go through it quickly. About a year and a half ago, we rolled out a new model for coach education. It's focused on providing for our athletes the best coaches possible with improved skills, improved training, etc. Nothing has really changed with that other than we delayed having any significant consequence or implication for a coach who hadn't completed their sports certification within this model. That was at the suggestion of several area directors, and we were happy to do that. However, that delay is coming up now, and the runway ends, if you will, with summer games of this year. So again, the requirements haven't changed, but if coaches have not met the requirements, they will kick in with this year or with this summer games sports, and then will continue for all sports going forward. In a nutshell, it means that a coach or athletes will not be able to attend a state competition if their coach is not fully certified in their sport. They have to have that head coach that meets that certification. In addition, only fully certified coaches will be credentialed as coaches, and that can affect what they can and can't do at the competition. And then advanced coaches, in order to take a team or to go as a coach to any event above the state level, advancing to USA Games, World Games, etc., that coach must have earned certification at the advanced level. This is a nice little graphic that Janet Larimore created for us to try to explain. There's another version of the model with a lot more words on it, but this seems to, that's on the coaches resource page on our website. Basically, there's 5 different categories of certification. The general volunteer with the orientation, the application, and protected behaviors. And then there's something new that's added at each. Sport volunteer requires a concussion course. The first time, in order to be a coach, to be called a coach is the assistant coach level, and the core course for that is coaching Special Olympics athletes. And that is all coaches will need to have completed that. We'll talk about the phase-in that's still in effect for coaches who have a certification that's still valid. But the core course that every coach will have taken with 5 to 8% variation, but virtually everyone will have taken coaching Special Olympics athletes. I'm not going to go into coaching unified sports for this group because it doesn't really apply. Then to earn your head coach certification, that includes a sport-specific course, and the advanced coach includes the principles of coaching course. For those, again, we said we're still phasing in a bit. If you've earned a certification and it's still valid, whether you've completed coaching Special Olympics athletes or not, we are honoring that certification through your current expiration date. So if you have a Bocce certification that's valid until December of 2020, even if you've never taken coaching Special Olympics athletes, your certification is still valid. And again, that's not a change. That's been the case all along. If you do, though, need to renew your certification, you will be required to complete coaching Special Olympics athletes if you have not done so already. Again, it's a mandatory course in this new model that all coaches must take. Again, if you are a new coach, you'll take that as your first course. But if you, again, have a certification that is still good, you'll need it for your renewal. Sports certifications are good for 3 years. An assistant coach level can take a number of courses. To do that, pretty much any course will renew their assistant coach level. But we do encourage you to earn your sport-specific course or a certification as a head coach for your sport by taking that sport-specific course. For head coaches here, again, this is kind of a little repeat of what we had before, that to renew your head coach certification, you can take a sport-specific course unless you haven't completed coaching Special Olympics athletes, in which case you will need to complete that. Or you can take any of a number of other courses that are offered by Special Olympics Maryland, whether they be sport-specific or general knowledge. You need to complete or renew your certification every 3 years, and what we want to be sure of down here with this bullet is that at least every 2 renewals, you're taking a course specific to your sport, so that you are always renewing and learning your how to be a better bocce coach in this case. So again, the full implementation, we've been talking about it for 18 months, and we really appreciate everybody's embracing of taking their learning opportunities and such. But if you do not have a head coach that is fully certified in your sport for your program, basically you will not be able to bring athletes to the state competition. We strongly recommend that you have more than one coach who has met that certification standard, that the fully certified head coach, so that should anything happen, you're covered as far as that goes. And then again, that has to be completed typically by the training registration deadline. We're giving you, for summer games only, since this is the first time we've actually will have had the requirement with consequences. We're going to give you to the competition registration deadline. Any sports thereafter, starting with kayaking, I guess, it'll need to be by the training registration deadline. And again, we hope this doesn't happen, but it may mean that some athletes or teams can't come to a state competition because their coach hasn't completed that. Again, we've given a 1.5 year runway to get folks geared up for this. I don't know what more we could do. And it looks like we're in really good shape, quite frankly, with most coaches having that certification. In addition to that, that consequence of being able to bring athletes to the state competition, only fully certified, including sports certification, coaches will be certified or credentialed as coaches at the state competition. And with that can come different things that only coaches will be able to do. There's some items that are listed there, but it's specific to the sport. And I believe Ryan may have included a slide on that a little later that's specific to bocce. These are the different delegation roles that are in place for almost any competition, any state competition, particularly for summer games, but for almost anyone, and then what their certification needs to be for that. And again, it's relatively, I think, straightforward, but this just kind of lays it out role by role for you. And again, you'll get this slide deck. That's just a repeat of that previous slide. And then the additional implementation or consequence of implementation is that in order to take a team or to go as a coach to anything above the state level, you must have earned your advanced coaching certification for your sport. That's basically the completion of that Principles of Coaching course, which we are offering, although we have one on the 20th of June. That's about 60% full right now, and then we've added another one in September as well. If you don't have that advanced coach certification, you won't be considered. If you're a true team sport, which really bocce, we don't count there, but like for a basketball team, they wouldn't be considered even to be advanced, to be selected if they don't already have an advanced coach. And again, we're talking here USA Games, World Games, the National Invitational Tournaments or NITs, so on down the line. It's not an exhaustive list, but that's there. Hopefully everybody's familiar with and goes to the coach resource page. There is a coach education and development page. I believe it's right at the top. The link to that is right at the top of the coach resource page. So it's right there. On that page, you've got your transcripts and your certification status reports, which your GMS managers have the ability to run and to customize specifically for your area. But we post ones there at least once a month. We've actually been doing it more frequently. And we'll take a look at what they look like in just a moment so you can see what you've got. There's also the education model is there, other opportunities and so on. And then strongly recommend going to the sport-specific pages in addition to a lot of other resources and information that also has the information on the sport-specific learning opportunities that are there. This is what the transcript looks like. I'm sorry? Oh, thought somebody was asking a question. This is what the transcript looks like with all the courses that individuals have taken. You'll see here that that's 156 pages. Oh my God, that's horrible. How can I find my stuff? Well, if you're using almost any search engine, has a searchable component in a PDF. For Chrome and Microsoft Edge, it's either find or search. You can just type in your last name and it'll take you right to that section of the report, and you can see what we've got on record for you. Similarly, here's what the coach certification report looks like. You'll notice we have these highlights here of the need to complete CSOA in order to renew. But again, similarly, you can just use the search function to find where you're at, what your expiration date is, and so on down the line. Coach Education, I'm not going to read through all this, but basically, if it's a course that either that we're hosting, Special Olympics Maryland is hosting, or one that we have approved, it'll count towards certification or towards renewing your certification. We have a number of coaching Special Olympics athletes courses that are being offered, plus it's offered online as a self-paced course with online learning. We are looking to add, given the current situation and at the moment our inability to host live in-person trainings because of the whole situation we're in right now. I am looking to put together an online version in the next 2 weeks or so, an online version that has that interactive component that basically models the live course to see if that's something that would be of interest to folks. Different people learn different ways, and that just offers that as a new opportunity. This just lists some examples of approved sport-specific courses. One thing to highlight here, we are very open to discussing other opportunities that are not listed here. We would want to examine the course or the learning opportunity as well. Give some thought if there is something that you come across that you think we should consider, whether it's a sport-specific course or a more general course as well. That we can look at and would be a benefit for coaches. We really don't want to have coaches have to repeat the same course each year. And while we can look at some additional options for it, we welcome your suggestions. In addition, we offer human kinetics courses here. This is a listing. These are human HKs, human kinetics used to be ASEP. These are all courses that we have approved for Special Olympics. If you go to the coach resource page, the education page there is an interactive version of this that has links and also instructions. They changed their website to find these kind of courses, it's a little challenging if you just go in on your own. I recommend using the link of HK courses there. You'll notice there also that Special Olympics Maryland provides a up to $20 subsidy for having completed the course successfully. If you wish to, you don't have to, but we'll reimburse you $20. Many of your area programs also, if they have the financial wherewithal to do so, offer to cover anything above and beyond that. So, if you're taking, unfortunately, Bocce doesn't have a course here, but if you were taking one of the courses, the general courses down here, say coaching principles, some areas will cover the additional $40 that runs for that. Again, it's really going to vary by area. Talk to your area to find out. Some areas aren't in the financial situation to be able to do that, which is why they don't. So I think I shaved 5 minutes off from the first webinar. Hand off to whomever is handling Coach Code of Conduct.
Mike, I'll take care of this kind of quickly here. I do want to make sure we have time to cover the sport specifics. As a coach, just be fair, considerate, and honest with the athletes and communicate with the athletes. Use simple and clear language. Please provide accurate scores to your qualifiers, especially Instruct each athlete and unified partner to perform to the best of their ability. I want our athletes to continue to be pushed, and you as coaches, that's part of your job, to see how far the athlete can go, and seeing the people that we have here, I'm comfortable that we're able to do that. Always act professionally and take responsibility for your actions. While you're helping the coaching the athletes, you're obviously representing Special Olympics Maryland, so we ask that you do that in a respectful way, just like you would anything else in your life. No alcohol or illegal drugs at events, training sessions, or competition. Please try to refrain from profanity. Also, again, just trying to maintain that respective look as an SOMD partner here. And that would be alert to any form of abuse or other sources. If anything like that happens, please notify myself, and I'll take care of that. Quality service to the athletes and unified partners. Continue to have the athletes improve. Coach to the best of your ability. Try to create a planned training program. I know that there's other sports that I've worked with that's been really huge for them to see them grow and kind of see where they're trying to go to. And I will follow the Special Olympics, International Federation, and the National Federation governing body rules for my sport of bocce. Health and safety. Please take care of the equipment and facilities that are available to us. Review each athlete's medical. At this point, if you have not, please notify me. That might mean you're not on my current email list. You should have got a list of the page that Mike was showing earlier with coaches certifications along with your athletes. So again, if you have not, shoot me an email, and I'll make sure that I get that off to you. Take care of the sick and injured athletes. I will allow further participation in training and competition only when appropriate. And that is the end of that slide. Again, work with your area leadership. Each county handles GMS work and paperwork differently. Some people have their own specified personnel for that. Others, it's the area director. Sometimes it may be a coach. So please work with them to make sure that all the paperwork is in with the dates that we talked about earlier, along with just making sure that those athlete medicals are with you at all times. Here were the dates that we were just talking about. I was thinking about the athletics webinar. We had not covered this section yet. The training registration deadline will be 4/23.
I think we actually did. This might be a duplicate. I think this is a duplicate slide.
I was going to say, I didn't think I was losing it here.
Yeah, no, that's the old version of that slide too. There you go.
Thank you. For the eligibility, players must compete in a minimum of 2 qualifying bocce events. Competition in any bocce event serves to qualify the athlete partner for all bocce events. Coming up here, we'll have some opportunities that are shown. Special needs circumstances, be certain to inform your area GMS manager so it can be properly recorded in GMS. We do need to be aware of that ahead of time. It is your responsibility to be sure it is recorded and correct. Please don't assume that I or anybody else knows, especially with it being my first year. I don't know of any specific circumstances that athlete may need, so please notify me of that and also have that in GMS. Regarding events, so we have singles, doubles and unified doubles, team and unified teams. For the 2020 Summer Games, the athletes may enter 2 events, so it'll be a single plus either a double or a 4-person team. So the 2 qualifiers, I sent out a request to have your sanction forms sent in 30 days in advance. I have 2 back currently. One's going to be a Frederick bocce qualifier at Mount St. Mary's. Just to be transparent with everybody here and let you know what I know, I did hear some news back today that some of the great leaders that they have there are going to be going back home because they're shutting down through either the end of March or April 6th or something along those lines. But those students are pretty much going to take off. They're not sure if they're going to be able to have the time or leadership capability outside of the Mount to host that. So once I hear something, I'll let you know. But that one's kind of looking a little tentative at this point. For the spring games, that will be back at Anne Arundel at the Naval Academy. That'll be April 26th. Again, this is just to kind of refer you back to the SMD Coaches Resource page. I know that myself and other sports directors work hard to keep that updated. Once you go there, there'll be kind of a rundown of which sports, and here you can see the sports that will be offered at summer games. Upcoming coaches training opportunities. So April 4th, I had a call with Rennie, I believe a week or two ago at this point. It was my first member that I've spoken to outside of the office of kind of what the bocce world looked like. So we were going to work on to establish an in-person coaches training on April 4th. Rennie, I think you're unmuted. We spoke about a location, and now that I'm moved to the home here, I don't believe I have that sheet of paper with me. Could you tell everyone where that might be located?
It would be at the Senior Citizen Center, which is not too far away from Holy Cross Hospital. So for those of you that are familiar with the Washington, D.C. Beltway, you can see Holy Cross Hospital, and that's the exit you would take. And we'll give you more detailed directions at that time. We would hold the coaches training right after the practice that Montgomery County has. So we would start at 11 o'clock in the morning. That way we would have all of our courts already set up, and we can roll right into a coaches training at that point. That's assuming that we get the go-ahead to hold events like this. And I know that that's still up in the air.
Right. Question, Rennie. Would we be able to do this? Let's assume, just for the sake of discussion, that we're not at a position where we can have face-to-face things. Can we work with you to convert that to a web session so folks can still get the training?
Absolutely. We could convert that into a web session. And if we do convert it into a web session, I'd love to have Robert Senior to co-teach it with me if he's on.
Yeah, Bob signed in, so great.
Yeah, and again, with the April 21st, we were talking about April 21st or 22nd. Still working with Rain to figure out what details that might look like, but we were talking about a more advanced rules course there. Depending on if we have to do this, not in person for the April 4th, we might try to work something together. But once I get that solidified, we'll have that emailed out to you to see what that looks like a little clearer.
Oh, it's a repeat. Repeat of things we already did. We'll have to edit that out. There.
So the coaching rules, only competing athletes, unified partners, and designated volunteers are allowed on the courts. Coaches are not permitted on the courts. As a reminder, once the official clock has started, there is no coaching or instruction, just like in any other sport. Let that athlete do what you coach them to do, and kind of sit back and watch them do their thing. Teammates can confirm with one another prior to stepping onto the court. There's nothing wrong with that. So at this time, we do have an attached document that we can pull up here.
I actually don't know that I received that. Do you have that, Ryan?
I do. I will try to operate Zoom here and share my screen here shortly.
Yeah, let me hand off to you the presenter.
My apologies. I might have forgotten to send that to you, Mike. So while we're looking at this, Kendall mentioned last year, as with golf, for instance, golf, we implemented that every county program who was intending to have athletes or partners participate at the state championship, it was a mandate that every county program hosted a golf qualifying event. I know Kendall had that in place moving forward to last year with bocce, and so we're encouraging that as well. But again, I think under the circumstances, we will work with everyone, but as coaches, look to host a qualifying competition, send in your sanction forms, and again, depending on the circumstances of the world, we will work with you as things continue to develop. And you can send those sanction forms to Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Steve. All right, so here is the document that we were talking about. Can everybody see that?
No, actually, Ryan, you need to
I need to hit share screen.
Share and pick that document from the various options to share.
The question is, if it's on remote, am I going to be able to share it?
We'll find out.
Yes. All right.
There we go. At least we can see the upper left corner. There we go.
All right. Could either Rennie or Kendall possibly take this over for a little bit?
Sure, I can take it over. Kendall, unless you want to jump in because you've got certain things you want to highlight.
Rennie, it is all you. Just let me know if you need me.
All right, folks, thank you. So we've gone over what events are being offered at the summer games. So I'm not going to go through that. I want to remind folks that it wasn't mentioned before, but we do offer half-court singles at summer games. So that's a 30-foot court instead of the standard 60-foot. Strongly recommend it for any athlete that really can't throw the bocce ball all the way down the court. Think about it. It makes for a much more interesting game for them. If we could slide down to the next, a little further down. It shows how the court is laid out. We start from the middle of the court on the half courts. And then we do not have a foul line other than the middle line. The athletes are expected not to go across that. Let's go on to the next. I'm going to go down to the equipment. Bocce balls, we all are familiar. You have to have green or red balls. The Polina can be yellow or white. Ramps are encouraged for athletes that have a problem throwing. Find out when you're practicing with your athletes, when they're using the ramps, can they do better on a half court or on a full court? Depending on the height of the grass, the ramps may only work for a half court. Because we have artificial grass at state game, be prepared that with a ramp, they'll be able to participate in a full court. Also, we've gone with lighter balls. I strongly recommend that if you could stay away from lighter balls, it's to the advantage of your athlete that you use the heavier ball or the lights, or the ramps, I mean.
Hey, Rennie, I'm going to jump in here.
Yeah.
This is Steve real quick. Ryan, if you could scroll up just a little bit, just so everyone's aware in the highlighted section there in yellow. The sport management team with Bocce addressed a concern or a clarification that's not necessarily clarified in the rules for Bocce when it says an athlete must be in the athlete box when throwing an attempt. It was taken to the sport committee at the state level and determined that an athlete can straddle the athlete box. What that means is an athlete must have 1 foot in the box at all times. They can, from a strategic situation, depending on where the Polina is and where they want to throw their ball, they can get a better angle, if you will, with 1 foot in the box, 1 foot straddling the actual court. So again, just wanted to make sure that people are aware of that. We're also looking to submit that to SOI for clarification. So I just wanted to point that out. Commend the Bocce committee as well as the state sports rules committee in making that adjustment. Okay, back to you, Rennie.
All right, thank you very much. As everybody is aware, we do divisioning, and we do it by qualifying scores. Please take the time out to understand how the qualifying score has to be calculated and turned into the state. To quickly go over it, I know it's not explained here quickly. You need to put the ball at the halfway mark, so the 30-foot, then the 40-foot, and then again the 50-foot, and at each of the position where the Polina is placed, then athlete has to throw a minimum of 3 balls. I say a minimum of 3 balls because if they throw more than 3 balls to the Polina, you only take the measurement of the closest 3 balls. When you do your calculation, you add up those 9 scores, and that turns it into your grand total that you turn in for the qualifying score. If the Polina is moved by one of the balls when it is thrown, you need to put the Polina back where it belongs before the next throw.
And I'm going to jump in, Rennie, as well. You may have hit this just in case you weren't. When you get those 9 scores and add them all up together, those are to be in centimeters. So when you submit that, that's in centimeters. Thank you. Back to you, Rennie.
All right, that's a new twist because I've often turned it in as in inches. So I'm glad you've said something. Everybody, you heard it, centimeters. So convert your tape measures into centimeters before you start measuring this year. I don't know where I'm going to get centimeters tape measures. Winning scores, whoever is the closest gets the points. Forfeiture. In the event one player or a team or double squad has scratched and no alternate can be activated, the team or double squad may compete with the existing player minus the ball of the absent player. Strongly recommend that everybody have at least one alternate for the state games so that if on the day of competition, you've got somebody that's going to be sick and you only found out well after the final registration for summer game has been in, you can slide that person in to take over and have a complete team. It makes a world of difference for some teams to be able to be a full team. Timeouts. Timeouts will not be afforded unless in instances of injury or illnesses. Make sure that your athletes don't have to call a timeout to go to the bathroom. That's not going to be on there is really what it's coming down to. Player attire. Long pants or shorts, preferably golf or tennis shorts are appropriate. Make sure that it's the same color that your team has colors. Jeans, running shorts, or short shorts are not permitted. Athletics shoes that do not damage. In other words, because we're on the artificial turf at the university, we can't go out there with spiked cleats. They do not want us on the field for that. Hats are permissible as long as there's no big sponsorship or corporate logos and stuff. The only logos that we typically see on our hats these days, folks, is your county logo, you know. So for Montgomery County, we'll have SOMO, for instance. All athletes are to be in collar shirt and preferably all in the same color or, you know, colors. Here we go for the how to do the divisioning. So I've gone through that so we can go down further. Steve, you notice it says all distance must be in inches only. We'll definitely need to have that change to centimeters. All distance must be in inches.
Steve, if you're talking, you're muted here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I was muted. Thank you. Yeah, we need those in centimeters. For the most part, most counties and area programs did that correctly last year. If you find yourself in a situation that either you don't have a proper tape measure to do that, notify Ryan and we can convert whatever you present to us, whether it's in inches or whatever, or yards or whatever. We can commit or convert that into centimeters as long as we are aware of it. It can create a significant impact on the divisioning as we put all athletes together. Most of them are around 100 to up to 1,000 centimeters with those 9 different scores depending on the ability of the athlete. So that should give you some kind of range there. That's how we caught some last year, is they were either extremely way too many centimeters or extremely way too low. And we did contact those coaches and correct those errors. So I do, again, appreciate the note there. We will make sure that everyone is aware that we want those in centimeters.
Okay. In here, the process explains to throw all 8 balls. I strongly recommend that you do all 8 balls. I've seen it where some teams only do it 3 balls. Past experience has told me throw all 8 balls because you get a much more accurate picture of what the capabilities of your athletes are. In some cases, be cognizant that throwing that many balls in a row, some athletes don't have the stamina to do that. So you might have to break that up so that they do recover some between the throws and everything. Scroll up, please. It continues to have best practices on how to do the scoring and stuff. As I talked about, the 50-foot, 40-foot, and 30-foot line. Let's continue.
Rennie, that should be it here. Let me try to get us back to Mike's page here.
And for
While
those, what I was going to say, a lot of this stuff will go, you know, for those of you attending the coaches training, we go over this in much more detail. I really shortened it up tonight so that you didn't feel that you were getting another coaches training.
And while we get the PowerPoint back up, one thing to reiterate moving forward with Towson, those of you who were there last year will remember this, but once you enter the turf inside the fence line, no food or drink other than water is permitted on the turf. And when we say water, it can't be in your own personal jug or cup. It needs to be a water bottle that's clearly water and nothing else, to protect the service and be respectful to Towson, to maintain their turf. That's one of their rules, and we will most likely at least have somebody scanning, if not at the entry points, making sure that that is adhered to. So again, just a reminder, only thing that's allowed on the turf is water, and we will have the water stations, again, similar to what we had last year for those of you who are with us.
Ryan, if you have the list of participants up, if you right-click on my name,
Mm-hmm.
And then there should be an option to make me the host.
Would you be SOMD Sports?
Yes, I would be the other SOMD
Yep.
Sports. I'm not sure why it pops up like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And
All right, you got the green box around him now, so.
yeah, hold on a sec.
The green box just usually means who's talking.
Yeah, it's not letting me. Yeah, I think you're still the host, Ryan.
I aborted my control just now. See if that works.
Okay, can folks see my screen?
Yep.
Additional resources?
I see
We
you.
see you.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it doesn't help. I can act it out in pantomime. How's that?
No, let's refrain from that, please.
Okay. Hold on a second. Where is it? There we go. Now, do you see something that says additional resources?
Yes.
Good, Mike.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. And let me flip this. Okay. So back to you, Ryan.
With additional resources. So this will just be registration forms and procedures. Again, that's the coach's resource page. Please check that out. A lot of the information that we try to communicate out to you is already on there. I have no problem clarifying, but if it saves you some effort from reaching out, definitely check that out. So here you'll see the list of the other sports directors, along with Steve, in charge of general operations of summer games. Zach, if you have any questions regarding swimming, he'll be your go-to. There's his email along with his phone number. My email and phone number, again, if you haven't received any information from me, please contact me at one of the two. If it's after work hours, probably my cell would be the best. And then Melissa Enger, that'll be softball and cheerleading for summer games. We've already covered that every athlete must have a valid medical.
Yeah, I think this is actually now going into all the forms and such, which we really don't have to go over. Just know that these are available. This information is available in this section of the slide deck. So I think at that point we can go right to questions. If I flip through all these.
Do we have any inkling as to what's going to happen with the dates of when we can resume practices? You said earlier that things are changing day by day, sometime hour by hour.
At this point, no. What I can tell you is we will be meeting with the area directors on Saturday. Virtually. We were going to do that, had that originally set up as a live session. And at that point, we'll be working through some things. It would be premature to speculate or go into anything along those lines. I think as you see the, just being candid and not being too obtuse, you see the what's in the news and so on and everything that's closing down. I would say it's highly unlikely that we would resume on April 1. Specifically when we can make a decision on that and what the implications are things that we'll talk about with the area directors at that point. What I can also tell you though, we are certainly exploring different options should it be an extended delay. We have some sessions that we set up today that'll be held on Friday to get input from athletes, and either tonight or tomorrow morning. And athletes who have been at summer games are being recruited to participate in those sessions. We'll also be sending out either tonight or tomorrow morning a short survey to all the other folks who came to summer games from delegations to get their input in terms of some potential options should that come to pass. Other than that, at this point in time, since no decision has been made for us at this point, I really can't go any further than that. I know that can be frustrating. But as soon as we have something that we can share, we absolutely will get it out.
Thank you.
Sure.
I think with that being said, echoing what Mike said, but also, again, we just stress, as we all know, the world we're in right now, flexibility and being able to adapt, and just depending on what the situations present themselves as Mike said, we're working collectively with everyone, and including you guys as coaches, to make the information available as soon as possible. And knowing nothing's for sure, but we're going to do everything we can to have opportunities for the athletes moving forward, and we appreciate your all support and flexibility and patience, not just with us, but with general life in general right now. So appreciate that.
I would, since we have a limited amount of time here, any specific bocce questions for Ryan or Rennie or Kendall, or anybody else for that matter, but anything? challenges you've run into with bocce, anything along those lines?
Guys, we continue to monitor last few minutes here for any questions, but I know on behalf of Special Olympics Maryland, I just said thank you for your patience, but thank you for what you guys do on a year-round basis as coaches, management team members, committee members, etc. I know there's a lot of you who coach multiple sports, so without you guys, Special Olympics doesn't happen without your dedication. And as Mike was talking about, all the coaches' certifications to make sure the athletes and partners have the best instruction and training available. We appreciate everything that you guys do on a year-round basis to help the organization, but more importantly, the athletes and partners in the competition aspects.
We'll give everybody a few more seconds here.
Yeah.
I don't see any
This is Mike Janis from Anne Arundel County.
Hey, Mike.
I have a question regarding the rule now where you can put 1 foot outside the box. Is the foul line infinite, or is it only inside the court?
We talked about that, Steve, when we had the discussion, and we said it was infinite.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Rennie. I was having trouble hearing that question, so thanks for stepping in. And thanks for the question, Mike.
Sure thing. I think before we tried this once, and we just said the foul line was inside the box, so you could put your foot ahead of the line there. But, it's not going to happen often, but whatever. Thank you.
All right, I don't see any other questions at this time. If you do think of one later, not a problem at all. Please reach out to me. If I don't have the answer for you immediately, I will find somebody who does, as I'm kind of learning the same way here. But thank you all very much again for being on tonight, taking your time. Thank you for everything you do for the athletes. Thank you for your patience also, again, as we work through everything with COVID-19. If you have any questions, reach out. Thank you guys very much for being on. Have a great rest of your night, and happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great rest of your evening and great, hopefully, season. Thanks much.